The moment you want to give up might be the most important moment of your faith journey. I know that sounds backwards. We've been taught that wanting to quit means something's wrong with us. That stronger Christians don't struggle like this. That if our faith was bigger, we wouldn't feel so close to the edge. But what if reaching the end of yourself is actually where real faith begins? Think about it. When everything's going well, when prayers are answered quickly, when you're feeling strong and capable, do you really need God in those moments? Or are you just fine on your own? It's when you have nothing left that you discover whether God is real or just a concept you've believed in. It's when you can't do it anymore that you find out if He really does meet you in your weakness. Every person in the Bible who did anything significant for God hit a wall where they wanted to quit. Moses at the Red Sea, David in the cave, Peter after denying Jesus, Paul shipwrecked and beaten. And in every single case, what looked like the end became the setup for something they couldn't have imagined. So if you're at that point right now, where you're tired, where you're done, where you don't know how to keep going, you're not falling away from God. You might actually be closer to Him than you've ever been. Today, I want to share 3 verses to hold on to. 3 promises that become real when everything else falls away. These aren't just words meant to sound encouraging. They're promises that have carried people through persecution, exile, heartbreak, and deep loss for generations. Here's the first one. Isaiah 40 verse 31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Isaiah wrote these words to people who were exhausted in every possible way. The Israelites had been dragged into exile in Babylon. Everything they knew was gone: their homes, their temple, their freedom. They'd been there so long they were starting to wonder if God had forgotten them entirely. And into that exhaustion, God speaks this promise: renewed strength. Notice where the strength comes from. It says, "those who hope in the Lord." That word hope in Hebrew means to wait with expectation, like a farmer who plants seeds and then watches the sky, expecting rain. He's not forcing growth. He's positioning himself to receive what only God can provide. And here's what's so powerful about this promise. It's not just about feeling better. It's about being carried differently. Eagles don't stay airborne by frantic effort. They rise by catching the wind and letting it lift them. They're moving with a strength greater than their own. Then Isaiah says, "They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Running describes those seasons when life accelerates, when decisions pile up, pressure closes in, and everything feels urgent and relentless. Walking describes the long stretch, the slow, grinding days where nothing dramatic happens, but the weight never seems to lift. Maybe you're running right now, trying to keep up, trying not to fall apart. Or maybe you're walking, slow, worn down, just trying to make it through another day. Either way, God promises strength for both. This verse reminds us that strength isn't something we force. It's something God supplies when we lean on Him. We don't create it. We receive it. Psalm 34 verse 18, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." This verse was written by David, and when he wrote it, he wasn't sitting in a palace feeling inspired. He was hiding in a cave, running for his life from King Saul, who wanted him dead. At one point, David was so desperate he ran to Israel's enemies for protection. And when he got there, he was so terrified they'd recognize him and kill him that he pretended to be insane. He scratched on the doors of the city gate and let spit run down his beard. That's the level of desperation we're talking about. a future king reduced to doing whatever it took just to survive. And it's in that moment, hiding in a cave, completely undone, that David writes about God being close to the brokenhearted. Notice the words David uses, brokenhearted and crushed in spirit. God doesn't minimize what you're feeling. He doesn't tell you it's not that bad, or that you should just be grateful and move on. He names it, broken, crushed. You're allowed to be honest about how much it hurts. And here's the promise in this verse. God is close, not distant, not waiting for you to clean yourself up before He draws near. He is close. Close doesn't always mean He fixes everything immediately. David was still in the cave when he wrote this. The danger hadn't disappeared, but God's presence was real. Sometimes what we need isn't an explanation. It's not even a solution. It's the assurance that we're not alone in the pain. God doesn't always remove what's hurting us, but He stays with us in it. And somehow His presence in the middle of what's breaking you becomes the very thing that holds you together. When your heart feels shattered, He is near. That's the promise. Galatians 6, verse 9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Paul wrote these words to believers who were growing tired. They had begun with enthusiasm, but the Christian life turned out to be far harder than they expected. There was opposition, disappointment, daily pressure, and over time they were worn down. Paul uses an agricultural metaphor here, and it's important. Farmers plant seeds, and then they wait, they water, they tend, but they can't make the seed grow. They can't speed up the seasons. They do their part, and then they trust the process. And in farming, there's a long stretch where it looks like nothing is happening. The seed is hidden underground. The work is real, but the results are invisible. That's where many of us are. We've been faithful. We've been praying. We've kept showing up. But we don't see the harvest yet, and we're starting to wonder if it's ever going to come. Paul reminds us, at the proper time we will reap a harvest, not on our timeline, not when we think it should happen, but at the right time, God's time. But notice the condition. If we do not give up. This isn't about willpower. It's not about gritting your teeth and pushing through on your own strength. It's about continuing in dependence on God even when you can't see what He's doing. So if you've already given up on something, today can be the day you start again. God's mercies are new every morning. That means there's grace to pick back up what you've put down. Think about everything you've already survived. The moments you thought would break you, but didn't. The prayers that felt unanswered, but you kept praying anyway. The days you wanted to quit, but somehow you woke up the next morning and tried again. God has been holding you through all of it, and He's not stopping now. These 3 verses won't make the hard things disappear, but they'll hold you steady while God does what only He can do. You won't always feel this way. Seasons change. What feels impossible today won't feel impossible forever. And the faith you're building right now, in this valley, in this breaking point, it's the kind of faith that lasts, the kind that can't be shaken. God is faithful. He always finishes what He starts, and He's not finished with you yet. If this message encouraged you today, let it remind you that you're not walking through this alone. There is strength available for you, even here. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 3 verses spoke to your heart today? And remember this, you're not giving up, you're holding on. And even when it doesn't feel like it, God is holding you too.